Good morning, this is Arizona's Cactus Plain Wilderness area. There's plenty of fine-grained sand out here to blow in the wind, and that gives us something in common with the protagonists in the anime we're going to see today. The Weathering Continent. The Weathering Continent is an anime movie from Anime Works Media Blasters. It was a 1992 theatrical movie in Japan, though only an hour in length. It's taken from a much longer storyline, though the story has been chosen in such a way that you don't need to know a lot about that longer storyline to appreciate the anime. There are only 3 characters, and they're traveling together across a desert. They don't say where they're going because it's not important to this story, only that they're traveling through the desert. They've neglected one of the important things about traveling in the desert, which is to bring plenty of water. Tie is the spiritualist, healer, and wise man of the group. He can commune with the spirit world and sometimes get small favors from them. He also sports an interesting mismatched set of emerald and amethyst eyes. Blah is the muscular swordsman of the group. Belying the myth of the swordsman idiot, his wit is almost as sharp as his sword, and his gentle personality doesn't change the fact that you don't want to get him mad at you. Lakchi is the youngest of the group. She left her home for reasons the anime only hints at because it's not important to the story, and she's trying to become a swordsman as she travels with the group. Since she doesn't have many skills, it's not obvious at first what she brings to the group. Since the 3 are almost out of water, they're searching desperately for a well or spring somewhere. Instead, they come across the recent massacre of another group of travelers by roving bandits or marauders. They come across a lone survivor who's already mortally wounded, but also desperately thirsty for water. The trio is pretty much out of water themselves, of course.
T.A., you're a medicine man. Can't you do something to help him?
I wish I could.
The barrel had water in it? Let me have some. You can take the rest.
But that's...
After the burial, they continue their travel across the desert by night. They come across the ruins of a huge city, now partially buried in the sand. The ancient ruins may hold water, so they peek inside. What they find there is extraordinary and a little off-putting, but since they've already been discovered by the bandits who slaughtered the other group of travelers they found, they decide they have to press on inside anyway.
All of those stories we heard about Ozxistra were about this place?
Yes. These people were all laid in state, dressed up in their finest clothes after mummification.
How do you know all this?
Because I can still feel their souls around us.
You mean they're here right now?
These souls are all peaceful. They're not bound here by any sorrow or conflict yet unfinished. You've nothing to fear from them.
I've heard that before. The rest of the story takes place inside the ruins of the lost city of Ozxistra. At its heart, The Weathering Continent is a ghost story. It spends its time on mood rather than action. While not entirely without violence, that's not the point of the story. Despite the movie's short length, we do get time to learn the personalities of the 3 characters, and we come to like them for the most part. The artwork is interesting, imaginative, and often gorgeous. The animation is adequate to tell the story, and it still holds up 15 years on. Personally, I prefer the Japanese soundtrack with the subtitles rather than the dub. That may just be because I've heard the Japanese dialogue from my old Laserdiscs a lot of times before there even was a dub. 10 years after The Weathering Continent, director Koichi Mashimoto went on to direct Noir. That series had little in common with this other than the use of music to create an interesting mood. Character designer Yuki Noburatu also worked the year before on the Record of the Lotus War OVAs. The Weathering Continent is a deliberately paced adventure story that evokes a spooky atmosphere in preference to visceral excitement. It will probably appeal more to fans of, say, Vampire Princess Miyu or Mushishi rather than fans of Samurai X. Overall, I give The Weathering Continent 4 stars for telling a darn good story. I think fans of the Lotus War or just good ghost stories will probably enjoy it. Thanks for listening.